Greetings. This is Reggie Middleton. Here to do a last minute Q&A and AMA, basically question and answer period, and to ask me anything regarding our token offering, which is going live tomorrow, 9:30 a.m., coinciding with the opening of the New York financial markets. Not to be confused with an actual security, which it is not. We are selling software, but a very, very special type of software that enables you to interact and perform financial transactions with anybody else in the world on a peer-to-peer basis. So we're actually blurring the line between software and technology and finance and investment and financial transactions. Okay. Thank you, Flipper. Appreciate it. And so this is the first of my YouTube live videos in quite some time. We've been having some technical difficulties, but I decided to keep it simple, and we're going to go straight through the this new SA Plus that I picked up, which does a very good job at multimedia. So any questions, please have at me. This is interactive for a reason. And the first thing I want to get off, the first thing I want to communicate, we are selling software. Okay, the software will be held in bearer form, just like any Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word or Oracle database. And the software will allow you to interact with all of our upcoming financial applications, peer-to-peer value trading, blockchain mechanisms, our digital autonomous organizations done correctly. If you remember the DAO from last year, which ended up being a debacle, we are creating vertical DAOs, right, which will be heavily tested and will cover multiple industries of which you can become an participant in specialized hedge fund, synthetic style hedge fund exposure, risk management, insurance companies, whether it's property and casualty, liability, health, a variety of things coming up. Plus our legacy peer-to-peer over-the-counter trading system. Now, we've gotten significant interest from Europe, from Northern and Western Europe, from the UK. Gotten significant interest from, of course, the technical crowd and some of the high net worths. What we're looking to do, to bring on board, is to bring the buy side of Wall Street in. So those of you who are not familiar with the vernacular, and if you are, please, forgive me for the next 35 to 45 seconds. Wall Street can be split into two parts. On the left side, you have the sell side of Wall Street, and you can guess what they do. They sell things to people. On the right side, you have the buy side, which buy things. The sell side represents the big investment banks, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan, Citibank, Goldman Sachs. On the buy side, you have small, big, and medium hedge funds, potentially pension funds and things such as that, but those are mostly clients. But then again, so are the hedge funds, clients of the sell side. You have trading outfits, commodity houses, and high net worth families and family offices, etc. So, to be absolutely honest, the sell side, those people on the left, are the competitors of Veritaseum. We don't compete with Ethereum and we don't compete with Bitcoin. We compete with those entities that stand as the gatekeeper or the rent seeker. They stand in between you and your money, or they stand in between you and who you're trying to do business with. And they take a piece of the pie as you do a transaction with other entities or even with your own money. Okay. Our software allows you to remove them as a gatekeeper and do these transactions without giving them a piece of the pie. I'm sorry, I just had a question from Jason Taylor. How does your software differ from Melonport and Economy? Okay, so as I understand Economy and Melonport, they're platforms. Economy is a platform that allows you to spin up your own asset management services. Melonport is a platform that does something similar. What we are is we are a smart contracting software provider that provides ready-made machines, right? Rudimentary artificial intelligence machines that replicate the Wall Street guy. So you have a hedge fund that comes on the blockchain, okay, and they have an asset manager that charges 2.5% of all assets and 25% of profits. Okay, we're spinning up a robotic version of that, and it charges a very, very low fee in comparison. We're talking up to 90% less. and it will have world-class research behind it, because one of the research out subcontractors that they'll be hiring will be us. And if you don't know what we've done, I suggest everybody go to YouTube or Google and Google introducing Reggie Middleton video, and you get to see a lot of our greatest hits, because we've predicted Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers and the housing crash and the commercial real estate crash and Google and Apple, European sovereign debt market, etc. We're very good at what we do. So we're going to bring that level of analysis, 30 and 40 page research reports, to ICOs and to burgeoning startups and the more established entities on the blockchain. And we're going to have that research used by this DAO, by this synthetic hedge fund-like robotic vehicle. Okay, that's one difference. Another difference is we also have extant technology. So we're not just trying to build stuff for the future. We have stuff that we have working right now on the Bitcoin blockchain, of which we have, of course, patent applications that we filed very early relative to most, early 2014. And every jurisdiction that has a major financial center, the US, the UK, the EU, China, Japan, and I think that's it. Okay, so there's another question. So right, now in theory, I can buy like Apple or Google using smart contract. You can buy exposure to Apple and Google using our smart contracts. And not in theory, you could do it in actuality. You could actually do it right now, but we pulled the system from public exposure last year due to changes in the regulatory environment. Now that we're moving that system from the Bitcoin blockchain over to Ethereum, we have more flexibility in programming smart contracts, and we will eliminate that regulatory hurdle. If that's going to take some horsepower, expect that to be released out of beta in the latter part of 2018. These are long-term projects, so the software that you're buying will have embedded value, but it takes time for that value to come to full fruition. With that being said, I like to undersell. I do not like to oversell and hype. But I would not be surprised in the very, very near future you get a chance to use your new software tokens to participate in something innovative, outrageous, unique, and done correctly for the first time in the history of the world. If I want to invest in a Veritaseum DAO for a synthetic cryptocurrency index type fund, how many VEC tokens will I need to do this? I don't know if the word invest is appropriate. I don't think it is appropriate. I think participate in the technology value exchange. So we're not selling investments. I've said that often. I'm going to say it over and over and over, because I can get in a lot of trouble if it appears that we're selling investments, and I'm not. We're selling technology. The technology will allow you, right, to make peer-to-peer investments on your own, among a wide variety of other things. Okay. Now, the tokens, the VEC tokens, will be I guess you could call it the fuel or the medium for participating in the DAO. So you'd send the tokens to the DAO. Okay. The DAO would then give you a pro rata exposure depending on how many you share, and it will do its thing. Okay. After a predetermined period, and we're working on that. We've actually started strategizing and building this already before the actual token offering started. It will then divvy up and give pro rata profit and losses periodically to all VEC token holders, all Veritas token holders. Okay. Basically, you need Veritas to participate in any of our robotic machinations or any of our trading vehicles. So Veritas tokens are the key to get in. Hopefully I answered your question. If I didn't answer your question, come back at me and ask again, and we'll keep going, because I'm here to answer all questions. And until I get a new question, please ask me more. Later on today, I'm in New York, Eastern Standard Time. Later on today, we will post the full instructions. We have a draft instructions on how to take advantage of it. I see your question, Omari. Give me 1 second. We have draft instructions on how to participate. We'll post the full instructions. We'll post the address to send your tokens to get our tokens in return. Right now, we can only take Bitcoin and Ether. Okay. If you want to buy our software and our tokens and participate with this, and you have fiat, you can actually go to agents and exchange fiat for Bitcoin or Ether, or you can have the agents actually purchase on your behalf. Okay, I'm not endorsing these entities. I just know that they do it, and I was made aware of them by European lawyers. Bitcoin Swiss. If you just do a search on Bitcoin Swiss, they offer the service um, of transferring or exchanging fiat for digital currencies, and they also offer the service of purchasing as an agent on your behalf. Okay. Are there transaction fees for these contracts? Yes, there has to be transaction fees because the synthetic or the digital autonomous entity has to keep going. It has to survive. The transaction fees are very low for the peer-to-peer value trading, which was running on the Bitcoin blockchain. It ranged from 5 basis points up to 25 basis points. The digital autonomous organizations are more expensive, but we're talking much less expensive than the private equity funds and hedge funds and etc. that they would probably compete with. We're aiming at roughly a flat 5% across the board, which handles everything. That's what we're aiming for. Once we built it, we could give you a more accurate answer, but I don't think 5% is going to be too far out of the ballpark. How long will it be before you all can do a demo on your testnet? Well, I can demo the peer-to-peer transactions immediately. I pulled it off the public access, but if you are looking to buy a significant amount of Veritas tokens, ping me, okay, and contact me. Let me know if you're running a PC or a Mac, and we could do a trade, okay. Remember, it's going through the Bitcoin blockchain, which is a little slower than ETH, or I can show you videos of everything running, of course. The DAO hasn't been built yet, and the port from the value trading portion, the peer-to-peer value trading, hasn't been ported to Ethereum. We have a target of the end of 2018. I like to undersell and over-deliver, so that's the date that I gave you. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes earlier, potentially significantly earlier. Okay, it's possible, not probable, but it's possible we might even deliver alpha versions of the robotic fund competitor very soon, potentially even before the close of the actual token offering. But I can't predict the future, and things always come up. And this would be an alpha, remember. It won't even be a beta, okay? Not to mention anywhere close to a finished product. But it'll give you a strong idea of what we have in mind. Okay, and the key is, again, because it's a robot, you don't have a fund manager. There is no hedge fund manager that you're paying 20% of your gains to. There's no extreme staff that you have to pay 2.5% of your capital to, etc. What you're paying for is engineering and development costs to keep the DAO running for things that it has to contract out for, and you're paying for a higher level research and analysis that machines can't do as of yet, but we happen to be extremely adept at. Okay, hopefully I answered your question. If I didn't, again, come back at me, okay? Any other questions? Okay, keep the questions coming. In the meantime, let's address what it takes to get started. So you go to the Veritaseum site, okay? Because we're actually selling software and we're selling our technology, it's a little different from some of the other token offerings that you've seen, okay? Jason Taylor got to run. Thank you. Look forward to seeing this develop. Well, thank you very much, okay? Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow on the 25th, okay? So another aspect of these tokens are that you can actually redeem them. Think of them as Walmart gift cards in programmable digital form, okay? How can you contact me for an interview? Reach out to me, Reggie, Reggie, at Crypto Kings. I'm directing this to you. Contact me at Reggie, Reggie, at Veritaseum.com. That's Veritas, like Latin truth, EUM.com. And I'll respond to you. Okay, John L. Give me 1 second because we've been through this. Hold on for a minute. So you can redeem the Veritas to us, okay, by contacting us and sending it to our Veritas address. And in redeeming it, you can get research, analysis, and our valuation services from us. Okay, think of them as a highly programmable Walmart gift card, or airline points, flying points, mileage points, or loyalty points. You can also use them, as I explained earlier, to access and fuel our various machinations that we have coming on board, such as the peer-to-peer value trading, where you could trade exposure to value of things like stock and bonds and commodities and indices and interest rates and a variety of other things, over 25,000 tickers, peer-to-peer, without counterparty or credit risk, as long as you believe that the blockchain is immutable. Okay? And other products that we have spinning out and coming up. We plan, once we get going and once we're properly staffed up, to start spinning out a wide variety of vertical DAOs, right? Reaching vertical industries, not just finance, but all over the place. Ride sharing and sharing economy, healthcare. We're going to take this technology and we're going to drop margins and drop costs around the world in all industries. So it's not just banks that we compete with. We compete with any entity or any industry that charges more than the value that they deliver. Now, if you deliver a commensurate amount of value with what you're charging, and then our introduction into your business is really not going to make much of a difference, because, you know, from a cost benefit perspective, you're actually profiting your client, your customer. But if you're gouging, if you're rent seeking, if you're overcharging, if you're taking advantage of significant frictions due to technology or geopolitical or social economic machinations, then you have a competitor, and that would be the Veritaseum robotic constructs using smart contracts in the blockchain. So, to John L. So I'm still not clear on this. If I want to participate in the Crypto DAO Index Fund in the amount of $100,000 or F equivalent, how many VEC will I need? 100,000 worth of VEC. Okay? More questions? Come at me. And so steps to get started. Number one, you need Ethereum or you need Bitcoin to purchase our tokens. If you have to use fiat, go to the various agents around the web. Bitcoin Suisse is one of them. I'm not endorsing them because I've never used them before, but they were recommended to me by a European law firm. So, and they have done this before. They've done this multiple times. Okay, so you take your ETH or your Bitcoin, or you go to an agent to have them either convert for you or purchase on your behalf. You go to our site. You will have a link which will be available from the front page. Okay, that link will bring you to a page that gives terms and conditions, okay, of the purchase, and the product purchase description, product purchase agreement. Those documents are just to make clear that you know that you're purchasing and we're all in agreement, okay? Legal babble, blah, 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 blah. I'm pretty much telling you exactly what it says in layman's terms, okay? From that point, you go and then you interact with the contract, and you simply send your F to the smart contract, and the smart contract will then return the tokens to you. Of course, you have to interact with the contract as well. So it is not just sending to the contract address. There are 2 steps. Those steps are delineated clearly in the instructions that you have with nice big pictures. If for any reason you have a problem, at the bottom of the set of instructions is an email address, veritas@veritaseum.com. Click that email address for assistance. Hopefully you wouldn't be overwhelmed because there's, the instructions are relatively clear. Okay. I think I had another question. John L. Okay, thanks. Well, thank you. I'm glad we got to that. We've been going back and forth on that for a while, but hopefully we got it. Can the smart contracts themselves be sold? The smart contracts, the DAO smart contracts cannot be sold, but the value of these contracts can be traded against each other. Not immediately, but once we port our value trading platform over to the Ethereum blockchain, then we'll allow you to trade the value against these contracts themselves, which is going to be very interesting. So it's like trading the value of an exchange traded mutual fund, okay? But instead, it's a distributed, decentralized robotic software pool, and you're trading the value of each one. Say one software pool could be brand new startups and ICOs. The other one could be established tokens. One could be long the top 10 ICO index. The other one could be short top 10 ICO index. We fund both of them, and manage capital or the software tokens going in and out, and I could go long short. Those are 2 or 3 ideas that we have in mind, and there's a lot more coming. How much is one VEC token? It is 0.033 ETH. Okay, Ether is quite volatile, so I couldn't lock in a price in US dollars. It was roughly about $1 when it came with the pricing. Now it's a little more. So I think right now it's about $1.39 per token. Okay, so keep the questions coming, and as the questions are coming, I'm going to go over, continue going over how to purchase the tokens. So you can access, hold 1 second, for someone who does not know, how is this different to Bitcoin? Sorry, but I'm totally new, but interested. Okay, so Glitch, Bitcoin, this is a long discussion, but I'm going to give you a short scenario, and then I'm going to suggest you go to veritaseum.com, Veritas, like Latin truth, EUM.com. When you get to the landing page, you're going to see an intro call to action and a green button that says learn more. Click that and learn more. Okay, there's a 40 slide presentation, and then there's a 1-page summary, and there's a lot of other things, lots of videos, hours of videos, hundreds of pages of reports, pathogenic finance. So go through the summary, read through the summary, the tear sheet, and then go through the slide presentation. Okay, so, and my short answer is Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency that is the most popular, and its primary strength is trading simple value, unconditional value from point A to point B. Okay, what we have done is we've created overlay, an application on top of Bitcoin, and very soon to be on top of Ethereum, and that allows you to write smart contracts on top of Bitcoin and Ethereum. These smart contracts are software versions of a social contract or a legal contract, basically software or robotic agreement, which means I agree to sell John L, right, this token key for $50. Okay, and he agrees to accept this token key for $50. We both put our assets up into the blockchain. Okay, I do my action, he does his in return. If we both agree that it occurred, the assets are now released to both of us. Okay, that is an example of a simplified smart contract. Now suppose I send this to him, but he doesn't release his funds or agree that he received his funds, then none of us get paid, and that eliminates a financial incentive for fraud or to cheat or to do something that's not cool. That's one example, simple example of a wide variety of examples, but basically that's in essence what a smart contract is. A computer coded version of a legal or social agreement or contract. PS, a little expensive? Not at all. One thing that we're very good at is finance and valuation, and your nominal prices are not how you value things such as this. It's just not how it works. You use things such as comparable pricing, discounted cash flows, etc. But it could be 1,000 per coin or 1 cent per coin. Doesn't really matter in terms of nominal pricing to find out how expensive it is. Can VEC be used as a community project, for example, like an urban farm? Absolutely. And we've actually have several African entities that have been approaching us to use it as just that. We have a lot of plans going on. We'll see if these entities decide to go on with their planned purchase of the Veritas token. Okay, and it's actually Veri, or VE, depending on the convention, the amount of letters in the actual ticker. But the Veritas tokens, if they decide to purchase them, we will build entire economic communities that are programmable, traceable. It's a whole new world. And we could actually make a more advanced and lower cost, risk-free economic and value trading system in third world countries and entities and areas than you currently have in the US. That I can just about promise you. I wouldn't say absolute promise you, just about promise you. And we could do it relatively quickly. The reason is because this is a whole new world now where we can eliminate counterparty risk and credit risk we can increase transparency and auditability, and we can increase speed like that by eliminating many of the middlemen that cause this risk, this friction, and this increased cost. Okay? So after you read these instructions, you send your ETH to the contract. If you have a Bitcoin, we recommend that you use my Ethereum wallet, which has a Bitcoin conversion facility in there. Okay. And unfortunately, we didn't have the Bitcoin bridge where we take Bitcoin directly, but you can simply do the switch. If you have a large purchase, I'm even considering entertaining, we can potentially do it manually as well. Contact me, but it has to be large enough to make up for the amount of managerial and administrative burden. Okay, additional questions. So this can be a way to issue something similar to stock to raise capital for businesses. Yes, it can from a technical perspective. From a regulatory perspective, you could run into issues. Okay, we're a software company. We're not a financial firm, and we're not a law firm. But from a technical perspective, you could definitely do it. Okay. When will this application go live? Well, it's a variety. It's a platform of applications. Okay, one is already operational on the Bitcoin blockchain. We pulled it from public access. Those who've been with me for a while, please excuse me answering the questions over and over. We have visitors coming in and out of the room. Okay, so the one on the Bitcoin blockchain is live or active now. We pulled it due to regulatory issues. We haven't been approached by any regulators, and that's where we want to keep it. So if we see there might be some confusion, we want to be proactive and avoid a problem. When we port it over to Ethereum, we will code around the potential regulatory violation, and that should be adhered to. That portion, the peer-to-peer value trading, we're looking to have go live at the end of 2018. The vertical DAOs will come out in alpha relatively quickly. Okay, I can't commit to a time, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see an alpha spin up on a limited basis, even before the sales period of the Veritaseum cells. Okay. What laws do you see local government putting up to keep this Ponzi scheme going? Depends on which Ponzi schemes you're talking about. There's actually, depending on how you define Ponzi schemes, a few of them. But you have to be very specific and make sure the question is regarding the Veritas offering, please. Whether it be a merger long-term with Ethereum, I don't know if there could be a merger. Ethereum seems to be a platform that is governed by a not-for-profit. We are porting portions of our business and technology over to the Ethereum platform. So the Veritas tokens are ERC20 compliant. So basically, they're colored Ethereum tokens. And we're doing that because we have a lot of abilities that we are putting into the tokens that the Ethereum tokens currently don't have. Okay, and currently are not capable of, at least that I know of. Okay, hopefully I answered everybody's questions. If you have any other questions, please come at me. As to the purchasing of the Veritas tokens tomorrow, sometime later on today and tonight, all the addresses will be in, okay? But it will not accept your Ethereum until 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, okay? Again, if you use my Ethereum wallet, you can actually trade your Bitcoin in for Ethereum, shapeshift style, or you can use shapeshift. Okay, do not send assets from shapeshift or any other type of exchanging medium into our crowd sale smart contract, because you probably will not get it back. You have to send your Ethereum directly from your own wallet. When you send it from your own wallet or use the wallet that we recommended, okay, you'd be able to get your Veritas back in your Veritaseum, okay, wallet. If you send it from someone like Shapeshift, remember, the coins that you, or the tokens that you send from Shapeshift will be returned to Shapeshift versus you. So make sure you are the entity that sends in the capital, the tokens, the software. If you're using someone like Bitcoin Swiss, then they should know what they're doing, okay? But always remember, you send your tokens in directly, or your agent sends the tokens in, and then there's a relationship between you and your agent. Everything on Ethereum has failed. Why do you have confidence in that blockchain? I don't think everything in Ethereum has failed. And if there are failures, there of course there are failures because there are a lot of startups, and you have a very very high failure rate with startups. But most of the failures are not due to technology; they're due to the high risk of being business startups. And a lot of the failures, I don't think could be, or many of the entities that could be very promising, can't be defined as failures. It's all very early. We're 1994-ish in the burgeoning of the internet. That's how I synonymize where we are now compared to the early 90s in the internet. Do you foresee the SEC stopping Ethereum from allowing this, as it will be unregulated? I'm not a securities lawyer, okay? I'm not a regulation specialist. I'm, a finance guy, okay? And I run a technology company. So I think that if you don't attempt to offer securities, you then don't run afoul of SEC security law. And if you do offer securities, then that's potentially a problem. But again, I'm not a lawyer, so please don't ask me legal questions. You can ask me finance questions all day and all night, fintech questions and technology application as applied to finance, business, etc., investment, and I could wax lyrical. The DAO was hacked. No, I don't know if you call the DAO was hacked. The guy read the computer contracts accurately, and he drained the money. So I don't know if hacking is accurate, but he did get capital from it. But that is not a failing of Ethereum, the way I see it. Ethereum apparently worked as advertised. It might have showed a weakness in the Solidity language, but it's growing pains. Again, very, very early stage. I'm not necessarily pro Ethereum or con this or pro that. I try and look at things the way they are. And if you look at something and you don't take the experience in from a factual perspective, then you have a warped perspective and you can't make accurate decisions yourself. That's been my experience. So that's how I saw what would happen. You can always get hacked. If someone can build something, someone can tear it down by definition. Okay, we're going to try to be very careful. We're going to spin up our DAO style vehicles in very, very small denominations, very, very small amounts. And we're going to test it and audit it heavily. And we'll invite everybody else to try and get through it and crack through it. Okay, by the time we're ready to release the functional versions, hopefully it'll be battle tested and ready to withstand the wiles and troubles and tribulations of the real world in finance and technology. Any other questions? Okay. I've been on here for 33 minutes, but I'll gladly stay a little longer if you have any other questions. I wish everybody would come in and participate in this real-time global macro fintech, financial technology, social behavior, socioeconomic experiment, because I believe that this will change the way finance works. Chris M. asks for cash payments. We can't take cash payments because we're selling software, but I explained there are entities that will manage a cash payment for you, not related to us at all. I have no relation to them whatsoever. I just found out about them a couple of days ago. They were recommended by a Swiss law firm. It's a digital-only investment bank. I think that's how they describe themselves, called Bitcoin Swiss. And if you want to use US dollars, pounds, euro, yen, renminbi, etc., then Swiss francs, of course, then you contact them, okay, and they can either they can exchange your cash, fiat cash, for Bitcoin or Ether, or they can manage your purchase on your behalf, as I understand it. Okay, I strongly suggest you contact them directly because I don't have any relation to them. If you want a contact point for them particularly, you could simply reach out to me, and I believe I have one of the principals' email address. Okay, that would be to reach me. It's Reggie, REGGIE, at Veritaseum.com. Veritas, like Latin, truth, EUM.com. Okay, Chris, got you buying F via CBS. Okay, is BitPay a solid wallet to use in your opinion? I haven't used BitPay to be absolutely honest, so I can't comment on it. Okay, Coinbase is too slow. Coinbase is going to be slow if you are just starting to use it, and they're not going to give you a limit any higher than $10,000 or possibly a few $100s a day because of AML KYC issues. Okay, any other questions? Okay, briefly, how are Ethereum tokens and VEC different? Okay, I don't know where everybody's getting VEC from, but the Veritas tokens, okay, that would be VE or Veri, but the Veritas tokens are written on top of the Ethereum blockchain, okay, and the Veritas tokens will be tweaked to allow the users to do specific financial activities that are currently not available on Ethereum without custom programming. For instance, we will be locking tokens into fiat value for specific clients. So let's say one VE.USD will equal $1 and it will be locked into that value. One VE.EUR will equal €1 and be locked into that value. We'll also be using them to run through our value trading platform. So you could gain exposure to about between 24 and 30, 24,000 and 35,000 financial tickers, IBM, FB, Facebook, bonds, stocks, commodities, indices, interest rates, etc. Okay, again, locked through the blockchain, counterparty and credit risk free. Okay, and we're also using to power our digital autonomous organizations, which will compete directly with things such as hedge funds and private equity funds. Hopefully that answers your question, George. If I didn't answer it in totality, ask me again. How much are you expecting to give away on a crowd sale? We have a limit at 51 million, okay, that we're going to give out for this period. There is no minimum maximum like others because we are not selling securities or security like things. We are selling software that are configurable and usable in our financial and investment advisory, research, transactional, and all types of other machinations. So, I'm not going to put minimum maximums, but there's 51 million available up front. There's 100 million total. It's capped at 100 million, so you know that to be the case. The bounce is reserved because after we build up our proof of concepts, we plan on making them compete directly with conventional entities such as hedge funds and private equity funds. And they will compete directly with them. We plan for them to significantly outperform them. You see, at flat 5%, digital DAO, okay, or Veritaseum DAO would severely outperform a hedge fund that charges 25% incentive fee and a 2.5% management fee. Okay, simply because the fees are so much cheaper. So they could both invest in the exact same things for the exact same amount of time. At the end of 1 year, right, the Veritaseum DAO, right, will have 13% more capital value in it than the hedge fund, right, for those who decide to participate in it. The reason is because the hedge fund manager and all the humans have to pay. They get paid a lot. It's Wall Street culture. Okay, we plan to eliminate that Wall Street culture problem, that structural deficiency of overcompensation, by letting software do the work. Veritaseum is software, and I purchased the blockchain coins through Veritaseum. Well, tokens, not coins, but yes, you got it. I saw you on RT, and I'm trying to understand the process. I think this is the future. I agree with you. You smart guy, K-A-I-L, I'm sorry, or person. I think this is the future, and I want to understand the market and risks. Okay, a lot of the risks are delineated in decent detail in the product purchase agreement and the terms and conditions. If you go to the site, the landing page, you click the green Learn More, and you'll see links for all of that. As for the reward portion, we don't push that too heavily because we try to be as conservative as possible because we don't want to look like we're hawking things. But I gave certain possibilities, and if you're smart, you can figure it out. If you want, you can contact me for another interactive Q&A, and I could go through the potential rewards as well. We have a massive potential market, $1.65 quadrillion. Basically, we're looking to transform global capital markets. So we're taking global capital markets and we're taking them from a centralized perspective where you have central banks, money center banks around them in a concentric circle. then national banks and brokerages, and then regional. And we're going to take that, erase it with an eraser, tear it up, and we're going to have each and every point, right, connect directly with each other and do business directly with each other, totally transforming capital markets on a global scale. So there is a lot of potential there. Now, there's a lot of risk as well. We're a startup company and blah, 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 blah. Go through the terms and conditions and the product purchase agreement on the website, which you will have to do in order to purchase the tokens. Or, of course, I'm sure some of the smart people can find a way to get around it, but we're going to have it where, we strongly incentivize and try and force everybody to read through it or at least accept and agree to the terms before they go forward. The Smedley, how many of the 51 million are you expecting to sell on day one? And are you expecting to sell all the available tokens? Okay, we have not done any pre-sales, if that's the question. The way a lot of this is done is a lot of the tokens are sold previous to the launch day to exchanges and brokers and agents. And then come the launch day, you say, well, we sold out $10 million, in 43 minutes. Okay. And the reality is they sold it out. They did sell it out, but they sold it in the 4 or 6 weeks in previous deal making. We haven't done that. The first day is the first day. Until the first day, nobody has access to it. And first come, first serve. Okay. We are willing to sell up to the full 51 million. And the reason we have 51 million available and an additional 49 million in reserve is twofold. The first, if you're trying to redistribute and change global capital markets, we need a lot of runway. Okay, so suppose we had 21 million tokens total. Okay, we sold out 21 million tokens, even for $1.50 each. So we could have gotten XYZ amount of value up front. Okay, now when the rest of the world, which is 99.5% of the world, comes in, right, there's not much supply to manage that demand. It drives the price of these tokens up tremendously. Very, very good for those early adopters, but it would make a lot of volatility and a lot of noise for everybody coming in, right? And that will hamper medium to long-term value. Okay, we want significant medium and long-term value because that's what we're looking at. We're not pumping dumpers. If you do a search on me, I've been around for a long time. So we want to make sure there's enough supply for smooth consumption as others come in, particularly the big boys. Okay, now if we create value and they come in, early adopters, of course, get the benefit because they saw value early on. Okay, and most of the value, and again, we're not selling securities, most of the value comes from utilitarian use, the utility of the token. You can do so many things with it. Okay, we're not selling price appreciation. We're not selling speculation and gambling. We're selling ability to change the future, change the world. Okay, now, also, if we succeed, right, and these hedge funds and pension funds and mom and pops and ultra high net worth individuals and even little, 19-year-old kids, sophomore in college, they come in, okay, on a thin float, you have extreme volatility. That volatility also makes it very difficult, okay, to plan future software purchases and software use. So again, you want to smooth this out. We want to eliminate as much volatility as possible. We're not catering to, momentum traders or anything such as that. We're catering to people who want to buy the value in the future. Okay, how long after the CIO will be trading on Polynex or others? As quick as they're willing to take it. Once we close the sales period, we apply to all the exchanges. We tell them what we have, and we ask them to take the ICO. And the rest is on them. Unless there's some work that we need to do, then we'll do whatever work is required, and we put it back to them. So, there will be no purposeful delay. So as long as it takes to get it on, is how long it will take for it to come on. Are you going to upload this Q&A so we can share this info with some people we believe could be interested? Absolutely. I think it uploads automatically, but if it doesn't, I will definitely put it up myself. Are you going to, and the last part of some of these questions is, am I planning on selling all 51 million tokens? I plan to sell more than that, probably not up front because that's a lot. But if I am correct and we successfully transform the way at least a modicum of the world looks at financial markets and capital markets and transfer of value, then we'll have much more demand than we actually have supply. Luckily, we have catered to that with a decent amount of supply and reserve, and the supply goes out 18 decimals. So it's quite possible that right now you could be purchasing parts of the internet in 1994. So imagine if we purchased software parts of the internet pre-Amazon and pre-Google and pre-Facebook. Basically that's what we're looking to do. Are you going to upload this? Yes, I am. Where can we get the coins online for U.S. citizens? Again, these are not coins, but I understand the misnomer. They're tokens, they're bits of programmable software. As a U.S. citizen, you simply go to the site. Okay, again, I'm not a lawyer. It's up to you to decide the legality of it. But from what I understand, they're quite legal to purchase. At least they've been purchasing left and right. Similar things have been purchased left and right for years now. And if you go to the site, just make sure you go through all the terms and conditions and the product purchase agreement, so you're clear on what it is you're purchasing, and then make the purchase. It's a matter of mechanics after that. Will you have an app for these tokens? Definitely will. We plan to have several apps for the tokens. That's the whole purpose of the token, to access and use the applications that we're building. In addition to the fact that they could be redeemed directly to Veritaseum for our consulting, financial, and advisory services. What is a benchmark for success 1 year from now? 50% of Polo daily trading volume? Is there a barbecue at the headquarters when this happens? Well, the benchmark for success is not trading volume. The benchmark for success is the amount of the economy that we convert over to the use of the Veritaseum peer-to-peer capital market system. That would be our ultimate benchmark for success. Listen, 50 basis point, 5 basis point penetration would be an absolute windfall for us. 5 basis points of $1.65 quadrillion. So 5 basis points might be extremely optimistic, but I want to put this into perspective. 1 basis point penetration means that you've purchased, the beginning of the way the world goes, or the world is about to go forward. You've picked the correct direction, or maybe you haven't. It all depends. Okay, the potential addressable market is so large that you do not need much penetration in order to see, requisite value. Okay, or I'm sorry, to see value in return. Now, there are plenty of risks involved. Plenty. I don't need to go over them, but you can name them. Startup organization, unproven, untested technology, blah blah blah. So high risk, high reward. That's what we're doing. We've mitigated a lot of it because there's always a floor for the Veritas, and that's to be put back to us for our services as well. Is it Veritaseum.com? Yes, it is. Veritas, Veritas, EUM.com. Captain, oh Captain, I missed the fiat purchasing option. Again, we cannot accept fiat because, just too thorny from a regulatory perspective. There are entities who will allow you to purchase, who will convert your fiat into Ether and or Bitcoin for you. Okay. One is Bitcoin Suisse. I'm not endorsing them. I'm letting you know they exist because they were made. They were made. I was made aware of them myself. Okay. There's if you contact me at reggie@veritaseum.com. Okay, I will give you a contact name and email address so you can have the fiat conversion done. They also act as agents, so they can purchase the tokens on your behalf as well. Okay, whichever you're most comfortable with. Since I'm not endorsing them and I don't know them, but they seem fairly reputable. But do your own due diligence. I can't tell you much more about it, but contact me and I'll pass the email on. What are the benefits for purchasing tokens and can we invest in? Okay, so I went over that many, many times, and be aware that I understand new people come in and coming out. Go through the many, many pages of presentations that we have. Go to Veritaseum.com, okay? On the home page, you'll see a call to action with a green button that says learn more. Click that. I recommend you go through the one-page tear sheet, which gives you an overview of what's going on. From there, click the presentation, and there's an interactive presentation with hours of video, interactive video, and there's a slide presentation. Go through that, and it tells you the opportunity from in full detail, so you could get the 3-minute perspective, or you could get the 45-minute perspective, or anywhere in between. There's also a table of contents on the second page of the slide presentation, so you could jump back and forth with whatever you think is of most interest to you. Chris M. I love the idea of dismantling the power and corruption of the current banking system and returning that power back to the people, the ultimate equalizer, and usury. You got it, man. I need to register an account on the Veritaseum website in order to claim my tokens after purchase. No, the Veritaseum website really has nothing to do with the token purchase. You have to be familiar in using cryptographic tokens and buying tokens. Again, go through the tutorial, which is, again, go to the website, click the green button, and the step-by-step purchasing tutorial, go through that in detail, okay? You have to be aware and knowledgeable on how to purchase and sell, purchase and handle cryptographic tokens, particularly how to handle them. The purchase part is written, okay? If you have any questions, any doubts, I suggest you familiarize yourself both with the process of obtaining them and, of course, with what it is you're obtaining before you go through with it. Do you see central banks creating a copy of this? It's a possibility. I can see it happening, but we purposely use a public blockchain, and we purposely use underlying vehicles that take advantage and magnify Metcalfe's law, the network effect. Okay, central banks need control, so they stay centralized by default. So there are competing forces there. So I can see central banks using a centralized version of this. But if they use a centralized version of this, then they defeat much of the benefit and value that you get from using it in the first place. So, you have to keep that in mind. Thanks for your time. You're very welcome, Chris M. No worries. Got my Ether wallet primed and Ether and ready to go. Cheers. Yes. And the My Ether wallet is a very, relatively simple way of doing it, of obtaining the tokens. It encrypts, the key store, and I don't want to get technical, but it's fairly simple. Okay, you can also use a variety of other methods as well, such as MIST, etc., depending on how advanced a user you are. Okay, so I'm going to have to sign off. What I would love for everybody to do to help out is like this video, give it a thumbs up. Okay, I would like everybody else also to subscribe to this channel. Okay, if you're not already subscribed, so when we come back on, okay, you're notified, and I will probably try and be on 2 or 3 times, or maybe even one other time before the actual sale starts and throughout the sale process. And I want you to share this video with everybody through your Twitter and Facebook account and Instagram and however else you can share. Okay, let's help get the word out. Get the word out. The more of us participate in peer-to-peer capital markets, the more powerful peer-to-peer capital markets become, and the more empowered you become as an individual. Okay. Look forward to it. In the meantime, adios, sayonara, peace, goodbye.